Hi, I'm Marina. I'm a game designer, and I've been making games around self-care since 3 years ago now, more or less. This started because my dad is bipolar disorder, and I kind of try always to change the bad things in my life into something positive. So this was something that affected me a lot as a kid. So I started making this kind of self-care games and mental health games, and also self-care games because I have lots of anxiety. So I was trying to make something positive from the experience. And this is the main word that came to my mind when I started making these games, escapism. When I had a big anxiety crisis back 3 years ago, one of my problems were anxiety in public transportation, and it was very difficult for me to take a bus or the metro. It's something that I've been doing my whole life, but from one day to the other, it was impossible. So escapism is a word that it has a big meaning for me. It's, as you can see there, far relieving pains caused by anxiety or depression. And that's how I try to make my games around self-care and mental health, a way to escape from bad things or a difficult situation, wherever you are. So yeah, this is one of the games that I've been making lately in the last months. It's Intimacy. I also make games around abstract concepts because I thought there was a lack of these kind of games in the games industry. So I started making this tiny series. It was a little bit of a challenge, and I've been making these games once per week, more or less, or once every 2 weeks. And one of them was Intimacy. And back in that time, I also tried to make a research about what people consider exactly self-care in games. And it was really surprising because I received kind of 100 answers, more or less. And it was so cool because some people said that, oh, my self-care game is Dark Souls. It was like, what? It was very stressful for me to think about Dark Souls as a self-care game. But indeed, some people find self-care super relaxing. And then there are other people that said Neo back in that time, or Nier, or whatever different game in that time, you know. But other people said also these kind of games, this is recalled self-care. And this is a game about taking care of yourself. You basically are that person in that bed. I presume that it's a person of kind of depression, but I'm not sure. The game doesn't explicit what kind of thing you have. Maybe you're just tired. But anyway, you basically play different mini games inside the app for taking care of yourself. And it's really surprising that actually this helps a lot for people with anxiety. It's kind of, you need to be more conscious about your body and yourself and your presence in that moment, because sometimes these days we live very, very stressful lives all the time, running from one place to the other, and you don't have time for taking care of yourself properly. Like, we just, wake up one morning, have breakfast, go to job, then come back. If you have kids, that's madness. I can imagine that. And then if you don't, just maybe, I don't know, have a talk with your flatmates, blah, blah, or, if you are lucky, you can have some self-care time. But, and then go back to bed, and every single day is the same. So I think this is really good for a little bit to place ourselves in the world and to take conscious about the present time. Now I'm going to present some digital environments that are self-care, and I think they are really nice for that kind of present moment in our lives. And this is Viridi. It's a game about making your own pot, a garden pot. And it's really nice because you can select the kind of pot you want to have. You can select the kind of garden you want to have depending on your choices. You're going to have one plants or other plants. And it's really nice because taking care of other things is kind of also a part of our self-care. It's kind of when you have a pet. The necessity of taking care of other things makes us to be more conscious about us as well and more responsible and more calm, I think. So it's a really nice game that I encourage you to try. Then this is one of my favorite games in the last times. It's Alto Odyssey. It's not a self-care game. It's a normal game, but whatever other game. And the thing is that I find it very calm because of the colors and the nice music and the change of environments. But it's like a very not self-care game or calm game. You basically need to kind of snowboarding, but in the sand in the desert. So and to take that kind of things along the path. So it's not properly a self-care game, but for me that's very relaxing. So that's why I'm saying that each of us we have different meanings for ourselves of self-care. What is self-care for me? It can be very stressful for you, even if it's peaceful, and the contrary as well. Journey is like a game that's a very popular game, obviously, but I also found a nice story in Journey of Self-Care. I think it's a nice trip to ourselves, our inner selves, and also the environments, the movements of the protagonist, the main chapter. It's also something that relaxes me a lot. And then this can be also a self-care game. I mean, it's like the story of being a bad bitch. So I think normally when we think about self-care, we think that we need to have super calm stuff like, baths, candles, which is nice as well. But it doesn't necessarily mean that all the self-care. So I think it's important for us to know ourselves as well in that kind of stuff, like what is relaxing for us. Sometimes people just say to me, but Marina, I don't know how to relax myself. I don't know what I want to do in my free time. And I think that's sad, and I think that's something that happens a lot in the games industry, that we don't know how to stop sometimes. So I think digital environments, even if we are game developers or not, can help us a lot to do that job, like to take care of ourselves and don't finish burnt out and depressed and all the stuff that you already know. But now, can I create my own self-care space in a digital environment? This was also a little bit of, take care of yourselves, but it was also a bit of a talk about game development. And yes, you can create your own digital environment. Some people, when I talk about this stuff, they say to me that, but I don't know, it's very overwhelming for me to make a game, because at the end, making digital environments is not very different from making a game, as I explained it. But yes, it can be overwhelming, but I think it can be also introspective, nice work. So I think, I believe that we don't need to have superpower skills in game development for making anything, just to put ourselves there and be honest with ourselves and with the public if we are making stuff for the public. And that's it. And then this, this is the game dev crisis. I think all the people in the games industry, the 90% of the time, or 95, feel like that there. I have no idea what I'm doing. So even if you never grab a computer for making games, it doesn't matter. You can do that today, tomorrow, whenever you want. It's not that complicated today. There are a lot of tools that you can use. I'm going to explain some of them later. But the thing is that you need to put yourself there at making games and making self-care digital environments. This is one of the games that I made also about abstract concepts. This is empathy, and it was about boundaries. And when I was making this game, I was thinking that I had no idea how to put boundaries with the people out there, which is something complicated and also scareful and necessary. So I decided to make a game about empathy, and this is kind of the digital environments I'm talking about. Like, it's not just self-care, but it can be also stuff we struggle in our daily lives with. Like, for example, empathy or boundaries or fears. This is a game I made the last year for my master's when I moved to London. And the year before, I was just like, how I'm going to live all my life in Madrid and move to London to study this master that it cost an insanely amount of money that I don't have. And it was fear all the time. And then, oh my God, how I'm going to become a game developer? Oh, I don't know anything. I'm a philologist, so I don't know anything about anything. So I made Fears. And Fears, it was a game about, I have fear, I don't know what to do with my life, this is horrible. But it was also nice because I think this kind of games, it's not because it's my game or anything, but I think this kind of games inspire people out there to put themselves and don't have fear. And there is a phrase that I use constantly in my life, but it depends on the stuff you're doing. Please take care of yourself. But it's like, if you have fear, do it with fear anyways. But because sometimes you can regret that if you never do it. So I made Fears for healing of my fear. And it's also because I believe in a game development that can be therapeutical. I think game development can help us a lot to overcome traumas, bad situations in our lives. And I think we've been seeing that stuff these 2 days with different talks that we've been listening to. So I think making digital environments is very helpful for that. Then, how to make these digital environments? The first thing that I already said, it's be honest. I practice a lot of things called honest game design. And it's, if you're not honest with yourself, you can be honest with the public, and they are not going to believe anything of you say there in your games. So I think we need to more or less open ourselves. I mean, all of us, we have our limits, and you can decide what do you want to share with the people out there or not. But always, even if you share this, be honest and, be authentic, be yourself. So that's the first thing that I think is really important for making self-care in digital environments. The second thing is expressing your emotions and feelings. This seems super basic, and all the people say, emotions and feelings, that's easy, but it's not that easy. I mean, I think we live in a society that we don't talk enough about emotions and feelings. Emotions and feelings is something that I think is very related to women. So if you're a male, probably you can cry in public and all different stuff that you can do it, because people are going to say, oh my God. Well, it depends on the environment you are, but normally it happens something like that. So I think we need to practice more emotions and feelings, and I think that's vital for game development in general, but for this kind of self-care and digital environments, it's vital. Then creating kind, relaxing environments, obviously. When I was talking at the beginning about escapism, it was because I think it's useful to make these kind of games. For example, in my case, that I was anxious in public transportation, to have a safe place, digital, that you can use as a portable experience for escaping from complicated times. So this environment obviously needs to be nice, because otherwise you're going to feel anxious or still feeling anxious. So the objective with these digital environments is to feel more calm and in a safe place, even if you feel that you are not in a safe place. Then using colors that please your senses. And also I think this is very important in relation to accessibility. When I made my first games around self-care and digital environments, some people were writing me saying, oh, I love your games, but the colors harm my eyes so much. And I think this is important too. Like, when you are making self-care for other people, you need to make games for everyone. And I think you need to think about everybody, more or less. It's very difficult to please everybody, but if you make that effort, it's better. So I think it's worth it to inform yourself, if you are going to make self-care for other people, about accessibility and other kind of stuff that you consider is important. And then portable experiences for emergencies. This is what I said before. I think it's really useful to have some resources out there. It doesn't need to be anxiety in public transportation. Maybe you are a job that you hate and you need to go to the bathroom a bit for not killing your boss. So if you have some kind of escapes, a safe place in your pocket, I think that can make things so much easier if you are not able to leave that job or to escape from metro, because you need to travel in metro every day for your whatever. So yeah, exactly what I was saying, the importance of feeling safe everywhere when you feel unsafe everywhere. So I think it's worth it to research more about this, and I encourage you to make your own stuff, even if you don't have normally anxiety, that all of us, we have anxiety in some way or another. But I think it's worth it to have some resources out there for SOS. And then tools. These are the tools that I work more with. But there are so many other tools that you can use for making pleasant things, for feeling safer in this world. This one is one of my favorites, is Bitsy, and it's the tool that I started using when I started my path in the games industry. You don't need to have any skill, any coding, anything, just your imagination and willingness for making stuff. And it's located in itch.io, and it's completely free. And there is also a very nice community around Bitsy, and they have also a Discord server that you can have a look at it if you're interested. Then Construct 2 is another tool that I've been using a lot. I think it's really great. It's free as well, and you don't need to have any skills for coding and doing anything. Is just to press buttons, and it's really great if you want to start a career in games development, or just you're curious about making games, because even if you don't need to code, I think it's really great for learning logic for making games. So it's worth it to have a look at it as well. And then Unity, I've been working with Unity in the last times. And the last game I released, it was PTSD, which was experience about post-traumatic stress disorder. And I think Unity is a complicated tool if you never used before any other tool in games development. But I think it's less overwhelming to start with the other tools and then to jump to Unity if you feel confident. And, well, not feel confident, because it's very difficult to feel confident in the games industry. But it is at some point in your life you say, yes, I'm going to use Unity. So wait until that moment, and yeah. But don't start with Unity, because I think it's difficult to feel motivated if you start using Unity, because it's more or less complicated. And then this is something that I created in April. It's the Discord server for devs of personal games. And it's a space with other game developers around the world for talking about personal games, which are the kind of games of around, like experiences you had. And it's open for everybody. If you are interested in joining, just send me a direct message on Twitter. And yeah, and then we organize the monthly emotional jam, which is a game jam allocated in itch.io as well, about abstract concepts. And each month we make games around one concept. Like, for example, now we are having homesickness, and then we had the last month togetherness and companionship, and we had also intimacy. So if you are interested in making games around this kind of stuff, I encourage you to have a look at it. Thank you.